All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Shakur Stevenson and what he had to say about Terence Crawford and what's going on between Terence Crawford and Bout. And I'm telling you, Bud ain't got a lot of support out there. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Looking forward to another good boxing conversation with you. Before I get into the subject matter of the video, though, please make sure to support the channel over on busr.ag/Fanon. Use a promotional code, and if you're putting wagers on the football games, basketball games this week, deposit $10, and you're going to be able to get other promotions, which can increase the value of the money that you put there. So make sure you support over there. You get extra value because you're supporting Fanon Boxing. Also, thank you so much for everybody that's coming. Hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Hit the bell icon. All right, let's get into this. Conversation of the week has been Terence Crawford and his lawsuit against Bob Arum for breach of contract. And in the midst of this lawsuit or complaint that he filed against Bob Arum, he alleges, or his team alleges, racial bias on the part of Bob Arum that prevented him, or was a reason why he did not fulfill his requirements or his obligations of that agreement, right? So people were naturally wondering, okay, Bob, this is something that people have been talking about with Bob Arum for a while, specifically that he did not support and he is not really promoting black fighters very well. And this is pretty much coming, since, I would say the early 90s. You're not going to hear it from people who were in the 1980s, from 1970s, late 1960s. That really was not the case with Top Rank. It just seemed like it was more starting like the 1990s into the 2000s that Top Rank put less and less emphasis on American fighters. And when you put less emphasis on American fighters, it's going to mean that you're going to do less. You're not going to do as much promotion of black fighters. But Terence Crawford and other people have always thought that that was a bias against black fighters. So when Terence Crawford's contract runs out, he claims breach of contract because of two things. One, that he did not get 2 fights that he was promised in 2019. And also the second, that he did not get the Errol Spence Jr. fight, even though he was paid a bonus of $1 million, I think, after the Igis Kalvanakis fight. He believes that he would be due that Errol Spence Jr. fight and maybe another $1 million bonus, but I think all of that adds up to $10 million, right? So that's what he accused Bob Arum of, and they're going to go through. So people naturally start moving on to, okay, well, what about the other fighters that are in Top Rank's stable, specifically Shakur Stevenson? Is Shakur Stevenson looking at this like, man, look what's happening to Terence Crawford. I need to get out of that contract and do something else so it doesn't happen to me. Well, apparently, Shakur Stevenson ain't trying to hear it at all. He said, look, I do not care what's going on with other people. I'm taking care of my business. I'm in my own lane. And so that cannot be interpreted any other way than saying, hey, dude, leave me out of this Bud stuff. That's his problem. That ain't my problem, right? And I find it really interesting that Terence Crawford is getting absolutely no support in this that I have heard. Now, there may be YouTube channels that I've not listened to and conversations that they're having about it, but I have not gotten any sense that Terence Crawford has a lot of support out there for the notion that he was taken advantage of or mistreated by Bob Arum because he was black. Now, myself personally, I have always said, that it is very difficult to prove that what somebody has in their heart and what somebody has in their mind. Terence Crawford himself has not been, the best at promoting himself, right? And other people, like, for example, for years, people would say, look, I want to talk to Terence Crawford on my YouTube channel, support him, get him out there. And he really was not interacting with people. And in fact, Bud had said at a point in time, why would I go out of my way to talk to people and to people that are going to support me anyway? And what it sounded like at the time, he was like, why would I go out of my way to reach out to black media and people like in that regard, because they're going to support me anyway. I'm a black fighter. They're going to support me. Right. Well, in the time of, at least his social need where, people could be stepping up and talking about Terence Crawford, it doesn't seem like anybody wants to do it. You have George Foreman, predictably, who's siding with Bob Arum. You've got Muhammad Ali's daughter, Rashida, who's siding with Bob Arum, right? And that makes sense because, they did really good business. Ali did good business with Bob Arum because for all intents and purposes, Bob Arum worked for Ali. It wasn't the other way around, right? People come to my chat and talking about how Bob Arum had done these things for Muhammad Ali. No, this is the other way around. Muhammad Ali was self-promoting, and he, along with the Nation of Islam, formed Top Rank for the purpose of doing the promotional work around him. He had already made himself a big name and never needed the Don King type of promotion for his fights because he was the Don King. He was the promoter of his fights. But regardless, his daughter probably has a good relationship with Bob. I doubt very much Bob Arum ever mistreated her. George Foreman is just, is a notoriously conservative guy and would never, I don't think he would accuse anybody of racism ever, right? It's just not how he floats. You know what I mean? But to have Shakur Stevenson pretty much throw Bud under the bus and say, look, man, leave me out of it. I ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm making my money over here. And by the way, he's saying that he's got a really big fight coming up that was promised him by Bob Arum. I just think that it is really, in the case of Terence Crawford, man, it may be a case of his chickens coming home to roost. Man, if you're not out, he was not out there, talking about this stuff before his contract ended, and he didn't get the fight that he wanted with Errol Spence Jr., even though he re-signed after not getting the fight that he wanted with Manny Pacquiao. Now, my impression on the Shakur Stevenson thing is that, dude, I'm not sure what anybody would expect out of Shakur Stevenson and why Shakur Stevenson would say anything else other than that, right? He is a young dude that is focused on his career, and just like Bud was a young dude that was focused on his career. And when Floyd Mayweather and everybody was talking about Bob Arum, Bud did not have the problems, and Bud re-signed that contract, taking care of Bud because Bud thought he had a good contract and a good deal. So I don't know why anybody would expect anything different from Shakur Stevenson, who is getting paid very well by Bob Arum and Top Rank, who has had opportunities for championship fights in 2 divisions and is being promised, a big fight, another fight in this one. Now, some people are telling me that they believe that the reason that Shakur is going to get a big fight in his next fight is because, Bob Arum was worried about what Terence Crawford is saying in his lawsuit. And that very well may be the case, man. It may very well may be the case that Bob Arum was like, look, man, this is going to be bad press. Let me make sure that, I shore up the support of the black fighters that I have, making sure that I give, if there's a big fight one of these guys want, man, let's go out of our way to try to get these guys a big fight that they want, even though we may want to do something different. That's the nature of the game, man. If you're getting bad publicity, you do something to kind of change it. And I don't think anybody can argue that type of accusation coming out of Terence Crawford is anything but bad press for Top Rank. But, at the end of the day, I don't think that it's really going to shift what's happening in Shakur Stevenson's career too much. At a certain point in time, Shakur Stevenson will, if he's able to get the opportunities that he wants to get, name will get big enough where, Top Rank may not be able to pay him the money that he thinks that he wants, right? To give him the big pay-per-view opportunities and all that, and he may have to go somewhere else. And I would just hope that, Shakur Stevenson, You know, look what happened to Floyd. Look what happened to Terence Crawford. Look what happened with Manny Pacquiao. Look what happened with Oscar De La Hoya. And when the time is right, if you have the opportunity to bet on yourself in a way that it could pay off where it's really worth your risk, go ahead and do that, man, if you feel right. But, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, you let me know what you think about Shakur saying that in the comments section. Thank you guys so much for your support. Hit that like, share, subscribe button, and hit that bell icon so you can get notified of when we release more videos. And with that, we're out. Peace.